All right. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Now, we've been trying to get this message across to the electorate as they go out to vote tomorrow. Now, the IGP, one time advised, I don't want to say ordered, because I read through a lot of comments in the media, and I find out that it was particularly not an order. It was more like an advice that when you finish voting, go home. Don't stay around. Meanwhile, APC and I think PDP has joined the race and saying, stay back and monitor, your vote, ensure it is counted, ensure, just ensure that everything, the person you voted for. Because if I am representing one of the party and you are representing another party, and all of us are there, and we probably notice that something is not going too well, and we start to argue, the violence we've been trying to, to avoid can even ensue. Now, I am saying, in your own perspective, what do you think? I stood in the position of vote and go home. I've always said it. Vote and go home. And then they're not saying 40 meters away, 30 meters away from the...
Okay, you have made your personal point.
Yeah.
But we have to start from, there is a ground norm. That is the Constitution of the Federal Republic. There's also an enabling act, that is the 2010 Electoral Act, which is the extant act that governs essentially this election that we're having. 2010 Electoral Act as amended, which is the extant law, or the prevailing law governing this 2015 election. There is the INEC 2015 manual, and all these things I've read. And in all these things, I must be very honest with you, there's no single one of all these major documents
saying that you should go home when you
should go home. But you see, I cannot sit here and say what the IGP said does not make common sense. Because I've lived in 3 countries in my young life. I may not be as young as you, but I'm still young. The way you
Why did you say young as you?
No, the way you looked at me when I said I've lived in 3 countries in my young life, and you looked at me as though you really very poor. You didn't even lie. I'm a mushy boy. I'm still young. Okay, anyway. Okay, I cannot sit here and rubbish the position of the IGP. I will move from his position to what I think Gbola Oba should do. I've lived in 3 countries in my life, and generally, chieftains of police chieftains have always tended, in my observation, they have always tended to want to interpret statute in the very stringent format with a view to having clarity and ease of operations. You are a lawyer, you should know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Because you see, if you have a clean cut, black and white, it's easy to say, black, you are wearing black. I'm arresting you.
Yes.
Now black is so the way. I'm arresting you. But it's easy to say, white, black. Police chieftains all over the world tend to do that. So if the IGP, for the purpose of ease of operations and what he knows to be his logistical challenges and whatever, gave that advice, nobody should say he was up to any mischief. Because some people were trying to, pin mischief, especially against the contemporary infamy of his own position too, when it comes to some partisan issues. But that was in the past. On this, I want to say it's probably, but as Gbola Oba, I would say you know your neighborhood far beyond anybody.
Exactly, exactly.
And your life. Sometimes in this country, maybe because, when I was a young boy living in Mushin, life was just as the crowd would live it. But when I went abroad and I lived among those who would take lorries of firefighting equipment to go and rescue a cat because that cat got stuck in this thing. Or
then you value life. Your view about life change.
And when they see a dog on the road shaking, they will first rescue the dog, give it good life, and go and arrest the owner of the. And suddenly, I got reacculturated to value life better than. So, if you value your life, you must do what you know will keep you in good stead, safety-wise. If your neighborhood is that is so charged, you know, even getting to the polling unit to cast your vote was good luck. Just take your Buhari home, and you understand. I'm just using. But a friend of mine, Liboros, we were here together yesterday. Liboros said at the last general elections, after voting, that in his neighborhood, they even started, people brought drinks and food, and they were, you know, fellowshipping, camaraderie, and this. If your neighborhood is
fraternizing.
Fraternizing. I would like it. Okay, you know, if your neighborhood is such that you can fraternize, relate with people, obnob and whatever, why would you want to deny yourself that? And you see, at the end of the day, you know, whilst you make sure you don't obstruct, the process. And
like no drinking.
And like the chief of INEC said, he said he emphatically accentuated the meaning of loitering. Don't loiter. And what is loitering? Walking aimlessly and without direction and vision around the place. So for me,
anybody who does
for
that.
me, I would want to enjoin each elector to design his or her environment and do what is best for his or her life.
Because I mean that is very, very important.
If I need to be preaching that to anybody, then that person needs mental health examination.
You know, knowing fully well, I mean, we have a lot of antecedents in Nigeria. And for me, I think you need to just borrow from, you know, from history. I mean, that should tell you.
You are overflogging your point. You have made your point that you were going to vote and go. You may want to vote and stay. Don't say after this.
I don't think Ishoma is
what you are trying to do.
She's very key to this
What
election.
you are trying to do is the terrorism of history. I know, we all know how to do it. In the days of, you know how those Baba will say, 1943, Arsenal, Manchester, Napoli.
All right. Okay, let's look at this. Now, the media, we talked about it yesterday, but it was just on the surface. Now, the media, I mean, we are a platform and we have been available to as many candidates that are, I mean, that want to patronize us. We said it severally on the show. If you have anything to tell Nigerians, I mean, our platform is free. We have never brought anybody on this platform and we collected money from them. Now, the issue here is that...
That is your own
our
network.
own platform, yes, on our platform.
Station.
Both on the radio and on the, you know, and on TV.
It's
because
just that,
we have three radio stations.
It's just that those of us who speak grammar, you don't give us money. You don't collect from the politician, you don't give us money. Some people, they give us money.
Okay, let's take this call. I mean, because I don't have an answer, you know. Good morning, Obiaka.
Yeah, good morning.
Hi,
Morning,
good
Obiaka.
morning.
Yeah, good morning, Gbola Oba and Chioma there.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, my name is Odiaka Chuni. I'm calling from Lagos.
All right, Obiaka.
Concerning the peace pact that was signed recently by the President and Muhammad Buhari, for me, the sign of the peace pact by the President and General Muhammad Buhari is a sign of a state of lawlessness in Nigeria, and it is a sign of the failure of the sitting government to maintain peace and order and protect the lives of Nigerians. Because if we have a government that is firm on its constitutional responsibility to protect life and properties and create an enabling environment for its citizens to live safely, we will not be having peace pacts in the dictators. And again, how do you want some of us to believe in this peace pact when we know that one of the parties in the peace deal does not have the control of his home or his immediate environment? Because when the first one was signed, we saw them telling their supporters to stone to death anyone that shouts change. So if you don't have control over the people in your home, how do you then control people outside your home? So it puts the peace pact to question. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Well,
Obiaka.
thank you, Odiaka. But then we believe the peace pact was signed, you know, recently. So we want to believe they've put their house in order and they are all jeering for peace during the elections.
In fact, I think the one signed yesterday, it promised to be more authentic than the... I mean, that in my view.
Sorry, it's my belly. This is my belly.
I mean, promised to be more authentic. And,
this is my belly. But we will want to enjoy an average Nigerian.
Yeah.
Respect your life. Respect yourself. Peace pack or no peace pack, drama or no drama, is any politician worth dying for?
That's the question. That's the question. That's the big question.
And we have an answer to that. No?
All right. I was talking about the role of the media. Do you think? I mean, you are a media person. You may not want to say.
I'm a mechanic now.
No, I don't want to believe.
I'm an entrepreneur, chief operating officer of Automedics, where we repair motor and this thing, and where we train young men to have marketable skills in automotive mechatronics. So I'm a mechanic.
Anyway, you've been in the media, and for me, your role, and for me, your role has been really very significant, especially when you have people who can help analyze issue and tell Nigerians the truth. Now, I was going to ask you, how would you rate the performance of the media, especially as it has to do with 2015 elections?
Appalling.
Wow.
Very, very, very appalling. Very disheartening, very, very, very discouraging, intellectually low-fee, directionless, and I wouldn't want to blame the media operatives per se. I would want to blame the culture of poverty pervading our society. You see, where there is poverty, self-esteem is the first casualty. I was very honest with you. You know, and that was why you were even accentuating the fact that in your station, you've never had to call any politician and ask for money. Because you were trying to accentuate that because you know that in most other platforms, they call them and before they this thing, what's the need for the boys. And when the Yorubas have a saying, but once you have collected something from somebody, you cannot run your mouth and think this thing. And you see, like I said earlier on, I've lived in 3 societies, including Nigeria, where I was born, where I'm living now. I've lived in 2 other countries. And if we were to juxtapose the role of the media to what prevails here, you will discover that we have not even opened the curtain at all, not scratched the surface. Because you know what? In those jurisdictions, the media set the agenda. You see, at a point, about 3-4 weeks ago, people would say the politicians were not talking, they were not addressing issues, they were only engaging in name calling and whatever. Once the 4th estate of the realm has failed in its responsibility to set agenda, once the 4th estate of the realm has failed in its responsibility to micromark utterances of politicians. Let me give you a typical example. And I give this example, as resplendently as possible. Somebody is contesting for the House of Representatives or the Senate. These are legislative elective positions. Yeah. And that person is promising to tar road, is promising to do this thing. Is he campaigning? I just wonder. Is he campaigning for an elective executive office? Is only somebody who is campaigning for an elective executive office, say chairman of local government, governor, or president, who should be promising people that he will tar roads, he will do this thing. It is a misnomer, given the constitution we run now, for somebody. But you know what? They have so perfected the art of saying it without remorse because they know nobody in the press. We call them together. That you understand? Mr. Gbola Oba.
You have to hold on that because if I don't put that break, we will not go on this break. So we'll go on this short break. We'll be right back. All right, this is CrossFire. We've been here and we've been talking to Nigerians, and we actually have been extremely, and objectively analyzing issues and just trying as much as possible to ensure that Nigerians are well informed. I mean, don't forget, our guest in the studio, sampled an opinion, gave a scenario that what determines your security tomorrow is to understand your area very well. If you are, we have a couple of states in the Federation that have been marked red by rating, saying Lagos is prone to violence, Ekiti State is prone to violence, or your state is prone to violence.
On what basis?
The basis, as I read, it's I possibly believe that many of the figures put together to arrive exactly, or probably antecedents, things that have happened in the past.
Occurrences,
exactly.
Like Oshodi yesterday, OPC matching.
Exactly.
Okay, we rebuke that spirit in the name of whatever God our viewers worship.
Amen. And they will believe they won't be violent. Despite the report.
Typical Nigerian mentality. You plead the blood of Jesus.
So
Drive well. Do things straight. So, in this election too.
And you will save the blood of Jesus.
In fact,
if we do everything right.
When we get to heaven, Jesus will ask us for his blood on some hands. Which kind of blood do they? Okay. Let's go.
So, we were looking at the role of the media before we went on the break. And
the best part of it has been touched. You also know, and I don't want to mention names. There are stations in Nigeria where workers are not paid. The owners of the station will just go and use the clout of this thing to go and collect money from some big shot. Workers will be muzzled, and when those politicians come into those studios or the studios of stations like that, the people cannot ask straight questions because they know a guy don't show up. Then so too, when that person they go leave something, you don't want to ask exasperating question for somebody who is likely to drop something. So it's unfortunate. It's the culture of poverty. It is not peculiar to the media. But look at our policing culture. Look at what our policemen have been reduced to. Look at the tape that is circulating. We don't know how far it is true.
That is false.
Look at until a court, and you are a barrister of law, my sister, until the court pronounces that the alleged tape, although Fayose has accepted that it was in the tape, but look at that tape that is circulating. A general of the Nigerian Army. My father was forced to retire as a major in the Nigerian Army in the 70s. As a major in those days, in his house, he would have 4 orderlies.
Yeah.
One with shine his boot, one with this thing. I can't imagine me now talking to a general in the Nigerian Army condescendingly as some of the voices we are talking to this thing. But you see, it's still alleged. Not proven yet.
Not proven yet. Anyway, for me, tomorrow is, like we said, it is less than 24 hours to the most anticipated 2015 elections. And Nigerians are going en masse, presumably, tomorrow to exercise their civic responsibility as they vote for the candidates of their choice. We have discussed on the show about security, voters' education, the role of the media. We have said all of these things, put together, and we're trusting that all the information that have been made available on this platform will help you take an informed decision as you go out tomorrow to vote for the candidate of your choice. Now, Mr. Gbola Oba, in rounding up, for me, I think that we should just wrap it up on the note that tomorrow's elections will definitely. Tomorrow's election will. Tomorrow's election. Tomorrow's election. I said election. The presidential. Election. Are we going to see any surprises?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Look, I'm trying. I cannot sit here and deceive you that I don't have my choice amongst the two. But I have a privilege I must not abuse as a Nigerian. This is a privilege. This platform, millions of people watching, so I don't know. But go out there, lady and gentleman, if you're watching this program, just vote your conscience.
All right.
Nigeria will be better for you.
All right. Thank you so very much, everyone who have been a part of our show. I want to say very big thank you again Mr. Gbola Oba, who has been, who has graced our platform. Believe you me, I've been educated, I've been informed, and I believe that it's very, very key. All right, as you go out tomorrow and do this as careful as you can make us informed on all the things that you observe going on in your area. I am not, and we are not advising on this show that you should go out there with your phone and with your iPad to start recording, because you have not been given the right to be, to video and to capture everything that is going on there. But if there's anything going on in your area and you want Nigerians to know, we have a platform that you can send us a small video or you can send us a message. It is eyewitness@cooltv.cool. eyewitness@cooltv.cool. Just send it there.
Video,
we will capture it.
Video,
photographs, and
voices.
Voices. And all of that. Very, very
eyewitness is with the I.
the eyewitness is not E-Y-E.
Not
It
E-Y-E.
is I, WITNESS@cooltv.cool. Thank you for being a part of our show. We'll see you again
Say no
very
to
soon
violence.
as we analyze
God bless
elections
you.
tomorrow.